there's just so much.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl, Bouchard's still there. I mean, they're still top heavy.
There's just so many. We did feels like at least 2 hours this time last year about Connor McDavid and like where we thought.
Yeah, and I still believe he has.
Neither of us could have thrown this curveball in there.
No, but I still believe this is. I still believe this is still part of his warning shot to the franchise. He signed a 2-year extension, not a long-term deal, unlike Leon Draisaitl, who signed a long-term deal and is there for 8 years. And after they just lost this past year in the first round after their back-to-back Cup final appearances, Leon Draisaitl was the first person to say in his exit interviews, we only have a short amount of time, guys, because Connor's deal is what it is. That's the elephant in the room he was willing to talk about publicly. Connor's never said, I'm locked in forever. He does these Players Tribune articles where I don't want to ever leave Edmonton. And then if you notice, George, always at the end is, but I got to win a cup. And then you and I do these shows and are thinking, well, we don't think you're probably going to win one there. You don't want to leave. I mean, this is like a Giannis thing, even though Giannis already has a ring. Like the Damian Lillard, I guess, for NBA fans. Like, you're dug in. You want to do it there. He even has said it won't feel as good elsewhere. Okay, but do you want to do it at all? Like, you might need to go. Like, you're getting so old. And yes, he's an historic Hall of Fame legendary player. And he had George. I mean, think of the annoyance of your Connor McDavid watching this postseason. Nothing, no shade away. Jordan Staal deserved the award, but he won a Conn Smythe Award with 12 points. Connor McDavid had 42, won the Conn Smythe and lost the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan Staal had 12. I mean, what are we doing here? But I do believe, George, is still part of the warning shot. Would you like me to give you, George, how I think we got here and why Mike Babcock is the pick for the Oilers?
Yes. There's a lot of,
I can entertain that. So I believe that, of course, if they won a cup, they wouldn't have made a coaching change. But even if they had not won a cup and say they were coming off the final losses, or say they had a better effort in the postseason, because in this past postseason, in the first round, not the best effort in the world for the overall collective, and they weren't really healthy. Connor was banged up, but the star players were very, very frustrated after this past year, and they kind of were lethargic and kind of sluggish throughout most of the season, maybe out of gas, maybe annoyed and frustrated of losing the final back-to-back years to the same team. But even going back before that, in a conference finals loss and just some different playoff failures, and taking a while to get in despite all the point total for McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, having two of the best players in the game. And if you look at all these graphics, what do you see on these, George? What do you see on all these all-time point graphics for the postseason? You always see McDavid and Draisaitl's name there, and their names are always right next to guys with multiple Stanley Cups, and they have 0. And they have 2 final appearances with no ring to show for it. McDavid has a freaking Conn Smythe, but no Stanley Cup title, which is what they're playing for. And then McDavid, of course, loses the gold medal the way he did and becomes this career bridesmaid, but never a bride. So we get all of that together. I don't think they would have went and pulled the Babcock lever earlier in their career, or even after one of those cup final losses or 2. But now after another year, another playoff loss earlier in the postseason, a real rough regular season, and we get here. And I think part of wanting Mike Babcock, because for anyone who's confused on how he's the guy, he's not being forced on McDavid and Draisaitl. There are many reports out there, and I certainly believe them, that this would not be happening without a green light from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
That's certainly undercurrent here.
Certainly McDavid with a short-term deal. There is no way they're gonna make a decision that they think would piss him off when he could be a free agent a year later. There is no way. So they have a green light from those two guys. And what I honestly, and I've said this on other shows, I honestly believe part of this is what was even said after they lost this year by even people in national media. Well, the overall team didn't put up the effort as maybe the Stars. The overall team isn't there yet. They once again don't have a legit goaltender that can stop the puck. Defensively, they're not nearly to the level of being a championship team, despite all these goals that can be scored by the top tier. I believe that Connor McDavid, number 1, and Leon Draisaitl, number 2 in particular, have been pushed to a breaking point of frustration, that they are saying to themselves, when we don't win cups, who gets held accountable? Who has their legacy dinged? Who is discussed on this show and others? It is them. And it is really McDavid. And McDavid even did an interview after the Olympics where the very first question he freaking got, and he was the MVP of the freaking Olympics, even though he didn't win gold, was, how do you feel once again coming up second? And you look in his face, and he even said, guys, that's the first question. Like, he even looks frustrated and angered now. And Leon Draisaitl said early on in the middle of the season that, clearly we have our issues. I don't want to throw shade on anybody, to paraphrase, but he was basically calling out players and coaches. And now the coaching staff has been fired. They have been pushed to their breaking point of frustration. And they realize not winning a championship in this era, despite all the individual accolades, goes on them, goes on McDavid more than anybody. Nobody is going to remember Nurse as having not won in this era. Nobody's going to care about Bouchard, even with all his points, having not won in this era. No one's going to remember anybody else, but remember those two guys. So what did they do? They sat down and said, okay, we had a young coach who took us to cup finals. We didn't win. Now here's how they checked the boxes and got to Babcock.
Chris Knobloch.
But here's how they got to Babcock. They were checking boxes of, and this was said too. So if we're going to replace a young guy that got us so far and got us right there, we need a veteran coach. Okay, we need a veteran coach. Now there's only a bucket of those that are available. Now we need a coach who's a veteran that has cachet, because you need to be able to talk to these guys and make them believe you're going to win them a cup, which otherwise, what are you doing? So now you need a veteran coach with some cachet, for better or worse. Okay, now we're getting into a bucket that's even smaller. Obviously, Tortorella took Vegas to a cup final, and he's not going to be back as well. He wants to coach. He could be out there. You have Bruce Cassidy, who wants the job. He's publicly said basically he wants the Oilers job, pretty much danced around that, but Vegas won't release him. They won't allow him to take another job. Pretty douchebag, pretty bush league. They have him for another year. They're going to make him pretty much sit out. They're not going to let him do it. That appears the situation right now. There are other veteran coaches, the Lindy Ruffs of the world, but he's coaching the Sabres. He's back in Buffalo. Quenneville, you mentioned. He has 3 cups, better than Babcock, but he's coaching the Ducks, who just beat the Oilers, and they brought him back, and that was able to work. And then you're sitting there saying, okay, we need a veteran coach. We need a coach with cachet. And here's how we got to Babcock, George. We also need a coach who's going to hold everybody accountable, not just me. That's how, there is a report out there that before we got to the investigation, before the NHL was even willing to do the investigation, there apparently was a meeting with Oilers ownership, and they claim their leadership, which is basically just McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard, and it really is McDavid's call pretty much. And in that meeting, apparently, the Oilers leadership gave the green light to not only investigate, but to hire Mike Babcock. And George, I understand everything he's been accused of, everything that he's been said to have done, and everything that he pretty much has probably done factually. If we're giving an award for the best guy out there, he would not win it. However, people have talked about, did Tortorella solidify himself for the Hall of Fame off just a cup final appearance with his 1 ring and now with the Olympic assistant medal? George, I want you to think of how insane that sounds and how Mike Babcock is treated. Mike Babcock has 2 gold medals as head coach, not assistant. He has a Stanley Cup championship. He's been to the cup final 3 times. And in his 2 losses, both in Game 7. Both in Game 7. He could easily have 3 rings as well. He's won a lot of games. He's been in the playoffs a lot of times. Yes, Columbus was rough, but look at the roster. Yes, Toronto was below expectations, but look at the roster. If you look at Anaheim, you look at Detroit, he won at a very, very high level. And Detroit would love to get back to the days of Mike Babcock if you look at the last decade plus, and that's why Larkin wants to go. So he has proven a Hall of Fame caliber legacy and resume outside of his off-the-ice antics and infractions and sins. And if you want a guy to hold you accountable, you want a veteran coach that normally gets the most out of his players and normally does win, even though he's been out of the game for a while, I can kind of understand. I'm not saying I'm predicting this to work or I think they're going to go ahead and win the cup. I still have on the record to say I think McDavid's leaving whenever this deal is up. But after I give you all of that, does it not make sense with a light bulb of why McDavid would be willing to do this. I mean, I even will go as far to say, George, I think McDavid wants a cup so bad and is so frustrated to not win a cup with 40 plus points in the playoffs and to go back-to-back years. I almost think he's willing to have the next rookie get bullied to win it. I don't think he gives a damn about the young player.
Mm-hmm.
He wants the accountable coach and wants to do it now.
It's a Hail Mary type of play from him. If you think him and Draisaitl are in lockstep, which I kind of presume they are,
I buy that. I buy those reports. There's no way they do this if not 100%.
Then it's like, okay, we've tried. Dave Tippett's been his coach. Just look in the list: Ken Hitchcock, Dave Tippett, Jay Woodcroft, Chris Knobloch. Knobloch had the success here, but they've been hamstrung by goalie issues and defensive issues this entire time.
Right. Even with the Cup final years, they had defensive issues those years. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna go the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Guy who's known for his toughness and also known for his abrasiveness in bad ways, right?
Knobloch's this nice, calm, cool, and collected. Shocks, we'll get him next time, and it's like that doesn't work anymore. Forget that.
The Oilers haven't been able to find a Paul Maurice, a John Cooper. Guys that have been also former, guys who are affiliated with Team Canada, like Babcock was, guys who have been able to straddle the line of knowing when to be intense and tough, but also understanding their players in a modern era where players are different now, right? The Oilers haven't found
Mike
small
Sullivan
sample
is
size,
another one like that.
But a Dan Muse kind of guy who comes in after Mike Sullivan, and Mike Sullivan's in the mold of Babcock, but not.
That's what I mean. Like he's a little bit of. I mean, there were even some reports there. He was getting a little too tough on the younger players. He would never play them. He would never get them in games. But
so the Oilers have been. But you've got this generational talent, and it appears that his days are wasting away, and you need to figure out what to do. So I can understand, as crazy as it may look, I can understand it from Edmonton's perspective, and Toronto, who we might touch on here in a second anyway. Like the ridiculousness that is Toronto now continues with their general management, Chakya, the new coach. They refuse to go outside of the organization really to do anything, and they think it's great, right?
Yeah, Matt Sundin is sitting there to do what? I don't know.
Give Edmonton credit, I guess, that even if you like Babcock or you don't like Babcock, that at least